Desert island gaming is a topic that a lot of people like to talk about, sort of ironically, but the idea is that if you had to narrow down your selections of the stuff that was available to you to just one console or one franchise of games or however you want to do it, could you go for a very long time, potentially forever, with just these games or just this console? And I've worked on this idea with like consoles like the 3DS, for example, and Desert Island Gaming, and the idea that if I were to have, say, 10 games, could I happily ever after? Could I live happily ever after with just these 10 games? So I applied this same line of thinking to the Xbox One, a console that is near and dear to my heart. And I thought, okay, if I had, just what I could carry in this backpack, for the rest of my life, would I be happy? And I think the answer with the Xbox One is yes. With what I've got in this bag today, I think I could probably go most of the rest of my life if I had to. Let's take a look at the games that I selected, and let's see if you think you could spend some time on a desert island with just these games. Let's get into it. Alright, so the Xbox One is a console that is near and dear to my heart, and it's very underrated. It's a console that, to this day in 2024, is still pretty current. It's still getting new games, some of them at least, and certainly stuff that was released in the last couple of years, including some games that are, here in this list that just came out within the last year or two. And there's some really big, huge experiences in this list that will take up tons and tons of your time without wasting your time. So let's take a look at the first game that I dig out of my book bag here. What do we got here? Okay, Soul Hackers 2. This is a fantastic, underrated JRPG that I absolutely love. This game got a bad rap at launch, and it's absolutely criminal because, sure, this is more of a budget attempt from Atlas, but the mood, the vibe in this game is fantastic. The music, the ambiance, the combat is absolutely, if you like the combat in games like Persona, you're going to like the combat in this. It's pretty similar, but instead of, having your party control themselves and you just controlling personas, you actually control each individual party member. And that's pretty fun. I do like the combat a lot in this game. Ringo, the main character in this game, you can see on the cover here, is an awesome protagonist. I really love her. And, I just can't get enough of this game. So this is a perfect addition to the Desert Island Gaming list because I could play this game easily once a year for the rest of my life. I absolutely love it. All right, what do we got next? Let's see here. Well, it's upside down. Scarlet Nexus. Very similar to Soul Hackers 2. This is a game that did not get enough love when it launched, and within months, this was a bargain bin game. And it's an absolute cry and shame because as JRPGs go, this is so stylish. The combat is so fantastic. It has this, sort of a thing going on where your characters have different magical type abilities, like telekinesis and stuff, where you can like pick up things in the environment and throw them at the enemies. It is an action RPG, so you're doing some like hacking and slashing and grabbing items in the environment and smashing them against the enemies and stuff. It's really kinetic. It's a lot of fun. And similar to Soul Hackers, I could probably play this game once a year. And there's two different routes in this game, two different characters with two different stories, so you could definitely play this game even a couple times a year if you wanted to. Absolutely love that game. What do we have next? All right. Another game that got a lot of slack when it launched, and that is Grand Theft Auto, the Trilogy, the Definitive Edition. And, you know, are these fantastic versions of these games? Well, there are some graphical issues, whatever, but they play pretty darn good. Now, it wasn't the greatest on the Switch, but on the Xbox One, these games look pretty darn good. I am happy with the way that these games look and play now that they've been updated. I particularly have mostly played Vice City because that is my favorite. But the thing is, there are three big games in here that not only can you play, the stories, which may take you 15 hours or whatever each, but you can just mess around in these games forever. You can just go in and drop a few cheat codes and blow up police cars with a tank or a rocket launcher or something infinitely. You can just play these games forever. At least I can. Remembering these games from the PS2 and the hundreds of hours that I spent in Grand Theft Auto 3 when that came out, just messing around, living in that city. One of the first really big, fully realized open worlds in Grand Theft Auto 3 that they just made even more insane in the following two games, San Andreas and Vice City. But there's so much replay value here that you can just pop this in day after day after day and just screw around for 15 or 20 minutes or a couple hours or whatever you want. All right, what do we got next? Okay, another JRPG, because I love my JRPGs, but Yakuza Like a Dragon. There's easily 100 hours worth of gameplay in this game, and this cool turn-based combat in this open world city that allows you to just run around and get in battles and do all kinds of side quests and mini games and things like that. There's just so much content in this game. I think, I still haven't beat this game. I've got, 35 hours into this game, and I'm nowhere near done this game. And I've barely scratched the surface with all of the side quests and mini games and stuff. There's stuff that you can do where you play the mini games over and over and over again to, get money and build up your character and stuff like that. Like, I think you could probably easily put 200 hours into this game, and it's just so charming. The main character, Ichiban, is so charming. I absolutely love just spending time with these guys in this world, and I think I could probably play this game once a year at least as well. What do we got now? All right. Everybody, I think, is familiar with the Forza Horizon series. Of course, Forza has two different main pillars: the Horizon series, which is like an open world arcade, and then the Motorsport series, which is a track racer similar to Gran Turismo. Forza Horizon 4 is my favorite in the series. 5 came out a little more recently, and it is also available on the Xbox One if that is your choice. But 5 happens in Mexico, mostly in the desert, where this game happens in England, and I just like the setting a little bit better. I like the landscape. I don't know, there's just something that appealed to me about the England setting and all of the old buildings, and I don't know, I just really enjoyed this game. It has some fantastic DLC as well. I assume if you have the game on your desert island, you probably have the DLC too. So hey, whichever one of these games you want to put in here, this is a game that you can just play forever, because you just drop into this world, hook up, with somebody on the road and race them. The game never gets old, and whichever one of these games, I'm actually playing Forza Horizon 2 on my Xbox One over here. right now because the games are all basically the same deal. You just get in and race and have a great time. What's next? Okay, another huge, massive collection, and that is the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which includes Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. Three big BioWare RPGs, not JRPGs, Western RPGs, but Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, particularly 2 being the one that everybody loves, I think, the most, but three fantastic RPGs that you can sink so many hours into. The value in this package that you can pick up these days for like $10 to $15 at GameStop. There's so much gaming value here. The fact that you can play this for literally hundreds of hours to get through all three games, and some of the best games ever made, particularly 2, as I say, but they're all worth your time. So much value here. The space exploration and all the cool different locations and everything like that. There's just so much to love here, and because of the way that you play these games, making different choices, to affect the outcome of the game. This is so replayable because you can make different choices on different playthroughs and see how those choices play out. All right, next up, Call of Duty World War II. This is one of my favorite Call of Duty games of all time, but the reason why I put it on this Desert Island list is because this is a fantastic game to play by yourself, multiplayer against bots. It's infinitely replayable. All of the different modes, free-for-alls, and things like that you can just go in and have a different situation, change the parameters. It's infinitely replayable. Not only is the campaign pretty darn good, although short, but all the different multiplayer options in this just give you so much replayability. And of course, if you have a buddy on that desert island with you, the two of you will just have endless fun blowing the crap out of each other and everything in between. All right, back to the JRPGs. Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age. Such a charming and beautiful JRPG that you can put 100 hours into this without a problem. This is one of the longest JRPGs out there, up there with the Persona 5s of the world, where you can easily sink 100 hours into this game, and it's so charming that you won't worry about coming back to this game and being bored a year later. With this list of 15 games or whatever that I've got here, you could never actually beat all these games, I don't think, in a year and get bored. What do we got here? Okay, the other Forza game, the other Forza pillar, Forza Motorsport. I have a couple of these games on the Xbox One. Particularly, this is 5, which is my favorite. I like the cars in here, and I like a lot of the character in this game. The announcers and the history. There's so much going on in this game, teaching about the history of cars and the history of racing. Another game that is pretty much infinitely replayable because you just, even if you beat the game, you don't run out of stuff to do. There's so much that you can just go in and race and change the parameters, race with a different car, challenge yourself against different cars with different setups. You can modify your cars. It's just, a game that I personally can play forever and never get bored. All right, we're about halfway through here. A game I just started playing, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Fantastic game, looks amazing on the Xbox One, and I have heard that these games take forever, that these games are padded out with filler and everything like that. I haven't really encountered much in the way of filler in this game yet, but I'm only in the beginning stages of the game. But I'm really enjoying my time with this. The story, the world, just absolutely incredible. The combat is so fun. And, if I can spend 100 hours in a world like this, I would not be complaining. I have friends that have beaten this game like 4 or 5 times and just absolutely love it to death. If I had to pick one Assassin's Creed game to take with me, it would be this one because I like the main character, I like the setting, I like the whole Viking thing. It's just super, super cool. So here's my pick for an Assassin's Creed game to live with forever. Alright, of course we had to have Stardew Valley on this list because it's another game that even if you hit the end, quote unquote, you're not really finished because you can just play this game forever. You just harvest your crops and sell them and plant more crops, and it's just endless what you can do in these games. There's mining and fishing and so many different activities that you can just pop into this game for 20 or 30 minutes every day for the rest of your life, and it never really gets old. That's what I like about farming games. I'm actually playing Farm Together on Steam right now, which I have been playing for almost 2 years at this point, almost daily for 2 years, and I've got like 205 hours in the game. And Stardew Valley is another game like that you can just play forever and ever. It's gorgeous, beautiful visuals, beautiful music. I have the soundtrack CD that came with this special edition that just lives in the CD player in my car, and I listen to it all the time. Fantastic music. Such a comfort food game. And if you're looking for something to play, forever, for years and years and years, this is your game. For a little bit of platforming fun, I had to throw in a Sonic game, and the one that I have on the Xbox One is Sonic Colors Ultimate, which wasn't super well received as a remake. It seemed like a low-effort remake, but this is one of the best Sonic games of the modern times, as far as I'm concerned. I love the mix of 3D and 2D. I love the visuals in this game. I love the setting of being like in a theme park or whatever. This is just a super fun game that you can play over and over and over again. Just when you want that platforming hit, Sonic, there's a million Sonic games out there. I chose this one simply because I had it and it had to go in the bag. I don't know what Sonic game you would choose, but I think this is a pretty good one to represent platformers on my desert island. I had to mention Rare Replay because there is so much replay value. Now, I have the combo pack here with Gears of War, so I'm kind of cheating because not only do I have Rare Replay that has like 20-something games in it from the whole history of Rare, from the N64 and before and after, Perfect Dark, and like so many fantastic, fantastic games, Banjo-Kazooie. There's a ton of hours that you can, just enjoy. And again, you've got platformers, you've got shooters, you've got just so much stuff in Rare Replay alone. Not to mention, I snuck in this Gears of War as well, which is a fantastic third-person shooter. I don't think I will run out of things to do in a year on a desert island with Rare Replay and Gears of War. Down to the last couple of games here. I was talking about newer games being on the Xbox One, and here we have Elden Ring. Now, the thing with Elden Ring is it is a huge open world, and it is so replayable because there are so many different builds that you can go for with your character, with different stats, different weapons, different abilities that change the gameplay drastically. The game is difficult, of course, which we all know, which pads out the hours because you've got to figure out how to beat all these different bosses and everything. I love this game. I'm not really very far into it because my skill level is still growing. But I love this game. I love the world. I love the setting. I love the vibe and the ambiance in the game. You know, I, I've chosen to go with a pretty standard sword fighter setup with a two-handed sword, and I'm learning how to use that. But there are so many different ways that you can, you know, build your character. You can go for a magic user. You can, you know, there's just so many different ways to approach this game, and I think this is a game that you could literally play forever and never get bored with. I think we're down to our last game here, and that is Monster Hunter World. Another game, albeit focused more on multiplayer, and I assume you're not going to have internet on this desert island. But the single player in these games, Monster Hunter, is fantastic as well. And there's so much to do. Similar to Elden Ring, there are so many different builds that you can go for, different weapon types and things like that. You can go for a more projectile type weapon. You can go for dual blades or single two-handed blades. You can go for daggers. You can, like, there's just so sword and shield. There's so many different ways to build your character that influence and affect the way you are going to kill these monsters. And certain monsters are weak to certain builds, and there's so much depth to these games that can, you know, occupy hundreds of hours of your time. No word of a lie, just hundreds of hours can go into these games. I'm actually playing Monster Hunter Go on mobile right now, and that's what got me into the series, because I had always been, you know, casually interested in checking out Monster Hunter until I checked out Monster Hunter Go and got sucked into all the different upgrading weapons and all that kind of thing. And now I'm a big fan of the series, and there is so much to love here. Anyways, guys, what do you think of my Desert Island Xbox One list? Do you think this list of games would keep you busy for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours? Would you choose different games? Let me know down in the comments what your Desert Island gaming list is. Maybe not even for the Xbox One. Tell me what console you would take with you to that desert island and what your list of 10 or 15 games are. I'd be super interested to know. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Stay classy.